Okay everybody, I'm working on the valve cover gasket on my 2006 Nissan Titan XE 4x4, and I'll show you what I've done here. If you find this helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. To do this, I'm going to start here with the driver's side valve cover. You can see maybe on the edge of the head there you can see all that greasy, oily residue buildup. I believe I had a leak coming out of here, and you can see it maybe better on the valve cover itself. There you go. Had all that build up there, and I replaced the PVC valve, and there it is, and that did not solve the problem, so that makes me think it's probably the gasket. So to get to this one, I took off the intake tubing here. It's like I have easy access, and I took off the wiring harness, which is several steps. You gotta unplug it from your spark plugs. You need to unplug the fuel injectors. There's about 1,000 little zip ties that I had to cut. I'll have to redo when I'm done here. And once you do that, you can see I kind of slid the wiring harness over to the side here. I removed this evap solenoid hose here, got it out of the way, and of course left the fuel line there. But if you take all that off and then really easily take off all the bolts that go on the valve cover, I think there were 12 of them. They're not bad, they're only put on like 8 foot-pounds, so take them off carefully, and then you can lift and carefully slide the valve cover out. On these Nissan Titans here at the front of the valve cover, you can see some residue still there of the RTV they use. When you put it back on, you're going to put a dab on both corners there, and so you want to have that surface nice and clean. I'm almost done. You can see there's still a little bit more cleanup I got to do to make sure I have a nice mating surface here, but kind of that clean looking surface you want there. Don't go crazy on this with a screwdriver. I try to take a razor blade and just carefully clean it off without gouging the mating surface. On the other side here, I'm going to clean up the valve cover, clean up the bolts that held it on, and you can see here's the old gasket that I assume was probably leaking. So when you put it back on, you're going to fit that gasket into the valve cover here, into this groove. Put some RTV on the corners like so. You can kind of see the old residue there, I think. And that will kind of hold it in there while you turn this upside down. Carefully get it up under the wiring harness and in place on the valve train there. There's an order to tighten these bolts back down on. You do it in 2 passes. You start at the center and work your way out and across. And like I said, you're only really going to get to about 8 foot-pounds, so you just barely put these on. Don't Donkey Kong them on and break them off in your head, or you're just going to be in a spot you don't want to be in. So after that, I've done my very damnedest to not get any grease or dirt in the valve train here, but just to be sure, a little insurance, I like to start the motor, let it cycle out into the filter real quick, and then do an oil change just to be absolutely sure I haven't done something dumb here. So there you go. If you've got some oily residue, you can see it all the way up there coming up the PVC pipe onto the intake manifold here. If you've got that, you may need to do a PVC valve, you may need to do the valve cover gasket, and it may be that these rings, these gaskets on the spark plugs themselves are bad, and in that case you need a whole new valve cover. So there's some choices here to look at if you have this problem, but otherwise, if this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and if you have questions, please ask me in the comments. I always answer, and I'm happy you stopped by. Thank you very much, everyone.